Circumcision is a procedure that removes the excess flap of skin at the tip of the male genital, known as the foreskin. It is a major rite of passage in many religions, from Christians mythologizing Jesus' foreskin as a holy relic, to Muslims declaring that urine from an uncircumcised man will defile the earth, while the Orthodox biblical canon simply states that the uncircumcised are the sons of the devil, and will be expelled and exterminated. The genital mutilation generally occurs shortly after birth, during childhood, or around puberty as part of a rite of passage. Despite its common practice in Muslim-majority nations, circumcision is considered to be tradition and not required for a life directed by Allah. However, circumcision has played an important role in Christian history and theology, with the circumcision of Jesus celebrated as a day of feast in the liturgical calendar of many Christian denominations. The Hebrew Bible contains several narratives in which circumcision is mentioned, such as the circumcision and massacre of the Shechemites, and the story of the Lord threatening to kill Moses if he did not circumcise his son, according to Exodus chapter 4 verses 24 to 26. The steps, justifications and imposition of the practice have commonly cited it being a way to control male sexuality, by reducing sexual pleasure and desire, and a religious metaphor for mankind perfecting creation. However, there is absolutely no given reasoning as to why God, Allah, and Jehovah specifically targeted a small piece of skin on the penis. According to Jewish religious law, ritual circumcision of all male Jews and slaves is a commandment from God to perform on the 8th day of birth. Most prominent Jewish scholars rule that circumcision lies in the pain it causes, and any anesthetic or sedation should generally not be used. However, it is traditionally common to feed the infant a drop of wine or other sweet liquid to soothe him. Circumcision was enjoined upon the biblical patriarch Abraham, his descendants and slaves as a token of the covenant concluded with him by God for all generations, and a sacred rite in order to enter his kingdom. It was a reproach for an Israelite to be uncircumcised, as the word was used in conjunction with tame or impure or heathen. The Philistines, more than any other nation, are regularly called uncircumcised in the Hebrew Bible as an insult. When King David wanted to marry King Saul's daughter, King Saul required a dowry of 100 Philistines' foreskins. David and his men, not at all surprised by the request, slew 200 Philistines and carefully excised their foreskins, to be brought as a present. With King Saul pleased at the sight of a mound of wrinkled flesh pieces, he gave David his lucky daughter Michal, and he became the king's son-in-law. In another video, we will explore how King David flirted with his brother-in-law Jonathan, much to the annoyance of King Saul. The Israelites born in the wilderness after the exodus from Egypt apparently did not carry out the practice of circumcision. Before the celebration of the major Jewish holiday, Passover, however, Moses' brother Joshua happily had them circumcised. Khitan is the Arabic term for circumcision, and widespread in the Muslim world, accepted as an established practice by all Islamic schools. Muslims are currently the largest single religious group in which the practice is widespread, although circumcision is never mentioned in the Quran itself, but is mentioned in literature and accounts of the sayings and living habits attributed to the Islamic prophet Muhammad during his life. According to historians, Shiite traditions such as those practiced in Iran have the most stringent requirements for male circumcision, since it is seen as a ritual of purification akin to Christian baptism, rather than an initiation to adulthood. Islamic scholars regard it as binding on all Muslims, both males and females, and legally obligatory. Some Salafis have argued that circumcision is required in Islam to provide ritual cleanliness based on the covenant with Abraham, while the purpose of female circumcision for Muslim women is to regulate and reduce their sexual desires. More of that in a separate video. Muslim legal scholars rely on sayings that come from Muhammad, when asked if an uncircumcised man could go to pilgrimage. He answered, "Not as long as he is not circumcised." If a man becomes Muslim, he must submit to circumcision even if he is 80 years old. Circumcise your sons when they are 7 days old, as it is cleaner, and the flesh grows faster, because the earth hates the urine of the uncircumcised. It is also believed that if one prays with unclean genitals, their prayer may not be considered as acceptable. Another hadith attributed to Muhammad states, "The earth cries out to Allah in anguish because of the urine of the uncircumcised, and that the earth becomes defiled from the urine of the uncircumcised for 40 days. The Book of Jubilees, part of the Orthodox biblical canon, reveals the hostility directed against those who abandon circumcision. The passage declares that whosoever is uncircumcised belongs to the sons of the devil, to the children of doom, and eternal perdition. God's anger will be kindled against the children of the covenant. If they make their genitals appear like those of the Gentiles, they will be expelled and exterminated from the earth. According to the Bible, the circumcision of Jesus is an event called by the angel before he was conceived in the womb. The event is celebrated as the Feast of the Circumcision in the Eastern Orthodox Church on January 1st, and is also celebrated on the same day by many Anglicans. It is celebrated by Roman Catholics as the Feast of the Holy Name of Jesus. All Orthodox churches consider it a great feast. A number of relics have surfaced claiming to be the holy foreskin of Jesus that can cause miracles. While the circumcision of Jesus was recorded as having been performed in accordance with Torah requirements, the Catholic Church currently maintains a neutral position on the practice, hence many Western and Eastern European males are uncut. Circumcision is considered a customary practice, however, among Oriental Christian denominations such as the Coptic, Ethiopian and Eritrean Orthodox churches, as well as some other African churches. Some Christian churches in South Africa oppose circumcision, viewing it as a pagan ritual. Simon Peter, who for Catholic Christians is the first pope, condemned circumcision for converts, charged that the advocates of circumcision were false brothers, although others believe this is merely a reference to attack Jews. Greeks and Romans valued the foreskin positively, and when they took part in athletic sports, they did it in the nude for aerodynamics. They insisted that the glans or penis head to remain covered for modesty, as they strongly disapproved of the custom of circumcision, which was regarded as pagan, cruel and barbaric genital mutilation. The books of the Maccabees reveal that many Jewish men chose to undergo the ancient practice of foreskin restoration by stretching the residual skin and tying it with a string, or using a metal clip, so that they could conform to Greek culture and take part in these sports. This relatively peaceful period came to an end when Antiochus of Epiphanes attacked Egypt and then sacked and looted Jerusalem, determined to force everyone to abandon the Jewish way. Although many Jews were prepared to conform to Greek culture, observant Jews saw circumcision as a mark of loyalty, and many defied the edict of prohibiting circumcision. Jewish women showed their loyalty to the law, even at the risk of their lives, by themselves circumcising their sons. For example, 2 women were brought in for having circumcised their children. They publicly paraded them around the city, with their babies hanging at their breasts, and then hurled them down headlong from the wall. According to the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 15, the Jewish Christian leaders of the early church at the Council of Jerusalem rejected circumcision as a requirement for Gentile converts, possibly the first act of differentiation of early Christianity from its Jewish roots. The rite of circumcision was especially appalling in Greco-Roman civilization, because it was the custom to spend an hour a day exercising, nude, in the gymnasium and bathhouses. Hence the younger generation of Jewish men, who wanted to separate themselves from the older generation, did not want to be seen in public deprived of their foreskins. The first formal objection to circumcision within Judaism occurred in 1843 in Frankfurt. The Society for the Friends of Reform, a group that criticized stringent Jewish practices, said that circumcision was an outworn legacy from Israel's earlier phases, an obsolete throwback to primitive religion. With the advancement of medicine came further opposition. Certain aspects of Jewish circumcision, such as drawing the blood from the circumcision wound through the mouth, were deemed unhygienic and dangerous for the newborns. In recent time, an anti-circumcision movement arose, committed to defend the rights of babies, to raise awareness about forced genital mutilations. Various organizations have been set up specifically for this purpose, while other organizations have stated their support for the movement. Activists also promote bodily integrity, and have no issue with consenting adults undergoing the surgery, if their preference is to be cut.